everyone, Keith, New England Whiskey, joined by my good buddy Austin, Moon's Tavern. Another episode here of Neat Conversation for you, your unscripted YouTube show where we go all over the page, left, right, up, down. We don't know. We have fun with it. We make it up as we go. And we have some fun with it. And of course, a neat conversation, which I left out last time. So I made sure to throw the tagline in there this time. Austin, they say life is like a bottle of bourbon. You never know what you're going to pour. So I figured we'll have to pour something up and have some fun with it. I know I got a couple bottles here next to me, and I know you do too.
I didn't know where you were going with it until I saw your shirt completely, and I was like, okay, there's a little Tom Hanks going on here.
Yep. My acting skills and my accent skills definitely need a little bit of work, but that'll come in time.
I think it was pretty spot on.
I appreciate that.
Always here to support, my friend. Always here to support.
Well, I know I'm excited for this. I feel like we were talking about what we wanted to pour and talk about today, and we realized there's probably, we go all over the page, so we'll be pouring, Penelope, and we'll be ending up over at Four Roses or somewhere else or some other distillery, Jack Daniels, somewhere left, right. And we were kind of saying, we feel like we haven't even mentioned this brand, and it's a popular one. They have a great lineup, a pretty expansive lineup, and we figured it was the way to go. And, Old Foe for show for me.
Yes. Old Foe. Now, what's interesting about some Old Forester is, again, like what we were just talking about, I don't really have the ryes. The ryes are really hard to come by in my area. I do have some single barrels, but they're heavily allocated too. It seems like as soon as they drop, people go and run for them. But man, I'm going to be honest with you. The Old Forester 1897 bottled and bond, or the 1920, those by far are some of my favorite pours that I get. And it's always one of those things when Virginia ABC gets those on sale, I generally go and buy like 3 or 4 bottles of them, just because that's something that everyone loves. I've never given somebody one of these whiskey rows as far as those two, and they said, "Man, I don't really like that, Austin. That's not what I'm digging." I mean, it's just brown Forman juice. It's really, really good. Yeah, I mean, 1897 is one of those ones that I could drink. I could drink quite a bit of. When I'm hanging out with people or whatever like that, sharing, don't even care if I leave the bottle there just because it's price point good, and I know the accessibility of it is very, very good. It's usually on the shelf, just sitting there.
It's a very versatile pour too. It really does wonders. Like you said, it's a great price point. It's generally a crowd pleaser anywhere. It makes for a good cocktail too. It works in any which way. And it was funny because you were talking, it's a bottle you can drink regularly. And right before we started recording, I was telling you the Old Forester 1920 was one of my favorites. And it's a bottle I no longer keep, and I can't keep here because I was going through it so fast. And I was just constantly like, what do I want to drink tonight? I'll just do the 1920. I'll just do the 1920. I'll just do the 1920. And I was going through those bottles, and there was all these other great things that I have and other great Old Forester, and I was never touching them. So I had to refrain for a bit here of keeping that here, but that's why I don't have it. But I agree with you on everything else that you said.
Well, I mean, my 1920 that I had is gone because I drank it. It hasn't come back up on sale yet at Virginia ABC, so I'm usually waiting. And usually what they'll do is they'll put the whole whiskey row on sale at the same time. Now, what is interesting, at least for me, and I don't know how you feel about this, probably completely opposite because you always feel opposite of me when it comes to anything subjectively that we pour. Like I said, 1897, 1920 are my favorite. The 1910, I could do without that one. I really don't care for that one that much. And then the other one that is the 90 proof, I can't remember. It's on the tip of my tongue. I think is it 1879 or something like that? I can't remember.
That sounds right to me.
And it's the 90 proof one. It's okay. I mean, this one, the 1920, and then any barrel proof that comes from there, or the old school black label single barrels. Some of those are just absolutely special. Yep, you had to show it off. Um,
Well,
Absolutely special. And I mean, I remember I used to be able to get the black labels pretty regularly. I mean, a bunch of stores would do store picks with them and all that. But I mean, recently they have, I mean, you just don't see them anymore.
well, yeah. I mean, it definitely went. The market definitely gravitated towards the blue label single barrels for a while. And now these black label single barrels are making a comeback. But I find it interesting that you say how quickly they sell out by you out there. Um, my local store that I did this pick with, I helped with. He's sitting on cases. It's on the floor. People buy it, but it's not. It's not a rapid sellout out here. I
Hmm.
don't understand it. I personally really like them. This is an enjoyable pick. Um, so I find it funny with how different it is that you guys grab them the second they hit, and we got them as something that's available that you can find out here.
Well, I do think it is New England. Is it a controlled, controlled ABC? See,
Oh
I mean,
no.
and I think that's the biggest problem here is that everything that's allocated, people are, they keep talking about the bourbon boom going away. I can promise you that I can take you to any store here, and it's just, your regular is not saying that nothing's wrong with Elijah Craig and some of those ones that are always on the shelf, your Larcenies, um, your Wild Turkey 101 and all that. I mean, those aren't allocated. The supply is very, very good on all that stuff. But I'm telling you, you drop something that is in the 70 or below range, it gets gobbled up as soon as it gets put out. And the way that Virginia ABC does the drops here, it's so, I mean, it's dumb, really. But before the way that they would do it, and I think we've talked about this before, so I won't spend too much time on it. But they will absolutely, not store owner, the store manager will, or the regional manager will call and say, "Yep, do your drop now," and nobody knows what it is, so you have to constantly go through the store 6 or 7 times, during because Wednesdays are the drops in my area, so you got to do that on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and sometimes it won't come out till Friday. So you get to the point where you're just like, you know what, man, screw it, I don't even care. If I'm lucky and I get it, it was meant to be. But I'm not going to go in the store 6 times a day to see if I can get it. And the people that work there, and I don't know if they're just pandering to me, but they tell me they hate it. Because they see the people that they talk to and the customers that regularly come in and buy things, and it's just like, as soon as they get something, the notifications go out on the internet, on
Yep.
Facebook or whatever in the groups, and then they just come flood and just pick all the stuff up because control state equals good prices, but it also equals sucky distribution. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Um, and talking about that, like we're not a controlled state, so one of our bigger stores, Yankee Spirits, very well known out here for us. Really great store, always MSRP. If you see an allocated bottle, you don't have to ask, you don't have to look at the price tag. You're gonna get an MSRP 100% of the time. Um, just did a big charity drop. So they were selling raffle tickets starting at, I think it was 12 o'clock that day. Um, and you could go in there and they had all of these. It was sponsored by Sazerac. They partnered with Sazerac. So a lot of Sazerac products, but they had other things in there as well. They had the Old Forester 1924s were in there, and plenty of other brands, but a heavy Sazerac based thing being sponsored by them. But you could go and get in line, and there was a first come, first serve table. Um, so the first person, remember the drop doesn't start till noon. The first person got there at 3:30 in the morning. Um, so it was pretty crazy for that, but everything again MSRP, and then you got the opportunity to buy raffle tickets which supported cancer. They raised, I think it was about $15,000 that day
That's
for it.
amazing.
And so that's a shout out to them. They did a great job at the event. Everything went smoothly. They catered it with some good barbecue food too, which Austin probably would have come just for the barbecue, forget the rest of it. But
Come for the barbecue and your fellowship, brother.
exactly,
No,
yeah.
I mean it's. I miss the days that Virginia did it where You could go, you knew the truck was coming, and it's one of those things that if there was something that and they used to give you emails, right? So they would say, hey, look, this is what's going to be dropped on this day. We're not going to tell you what store it is, but if you go to a store, you're going to get something, right? And it's enough to where the first probably 30, 40 people, you were absolutely going to get something, right? And so it just mattered how bad you wanted it. You know what I'm saying? If it was something where it was like the Weller 12s, the Weller foolproofs, single barrel, CYPB, all that kind of good stuff, then, you know, you'd have some people waiting a long time because just those are kind of hard to get in Virginia, right? So, or like a Old Forester birthday bourbon. I mean, people would wait overnight for that. But they said that they didn't like people standing at their doors, which, I mean, it was a great time, man. You would meet so many different bourbon people that were in your area and fellowship and just talk and all that kind of good stuff. It was a good time, man. I miss those days. I don't know if I would necessarily stand out there in some of the wee hours of morning that I used to, but I might. You know, I always had to pick one that was like a bathroom was close, so that way when you're standing there forever, and hopefully you get some cool people that didn't care. Where, you know, hey man, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. You know.
Yeah, I found most people in line are generally pretty respectful. There's only a few times where I've ever seen an issue, and I don't agree with this, with people that do this in line, is they'll get there, they'll put a chair, and then they'll get there early and go back home. Like, I can understand, especially out here in New England where it's a little colder, if you're going to put a chair down, you're going to get there for a few hours and sit in your car. Fine, so be it. I can understand that, and I'm respectful of that. If you need to go warm up because you're getting really cold, I know your spot in line, go sit in your car for a few minutes. Don't go home, have a full 5-course breakfast, be all comfortable. Like, the whole point is you're there, you got to kind of stay there. Your chair doesn't mark your territory. But
right. Now, it was cool. I remember one time at one store that I went to, there was a tax office that was right next door to the ABC store. They knew that a drop was coming, so they had all their employees come in early. They were doing people's taxes before, you know, and they had, you know, hot chocolate and coffee, and you could go in there and warm up. They're coming out. All right, you know, Mr. Moon, we have your taxes done for you already. I'm like, good grief, man. This is like this is dual purpose here.
That could go good or bad. When you find out that you owe a lot of money, all of a sudden you're out of line because now you can't afford to buy that bottle.
You're like, that's a future billing problem. But
yeah, but like we usually do, we've completely stopped talking about Old Forester. I'm gonna try to rein us back in a little bit.
There we go. Well, I talked about birthday bourbon, so I mean it's there. But talking about that, and I don't know what your feelings is on this. I'd be very curious to hear this as well. For me personally, again, 1897, 1920, these single barrel proofs, to me, blow birthday bourbon out of the water. It's like it's not even close. For the only thing that's really cool about the Old Forester birthday bourbon is just the bottle. You know what I mean? The bottle's really cool, but the liquid inside, man, I would prefer to have 1897.
Yeah. So I'm pretty much with you on that. The birthday bourbon's great, beautiful bottle. I don't think the juice in the birthday bourbon's bad. Is going to be the only way I'm going to caveat or change that up. I think it's good for what it is. I don't think it's super pricey. You know, it's over $100. You know, it's not. I'm not saying that it's cheap. I'm not saying that, but it is for what it is. It's a sub 100 proof pour. It packs a good flavor for a sub 100 proof, but I feel like people think it's, you know, they don't really know it. They haven't really looked at it. They say they hear great things about it. They want it. Beautiful bottle, 100%. And then they go and they get it and they try it. They haven't looked at the bottle. They haven't looked at the proof. They don't really know much about it. And all of a sudden they're drinking 93 proof and they feel a bit underwhelmed by it. And I think that happens quite a bit because the first time I tried birthday bourbon, I was like, this is definitely missing something. Is it oak? Is it age? Like, it's usually not age with these birthday bourbons. I'm like, what is it that's missing? And it was the proof. It was a sub 100 proof thing, and it wasn't bad, but it definitely could have, if it was proofed up, give it to me at 107 or 110 proof, and I probably would absolutely love it. But I agree with you otherwise, with what you said on it.
Yeah, I mean, these again, these ones are, and this one's coming from Daveco Liquors, Davco. I don't even know where that's from. Anyway, um, this one is delicious. It's super delicious. I've got one from one of my local stores. I can't wait to get into. I will probably do a review on that one, even though it's probably not even available anymore. But anyway, these are absolutely amazing. If you're not drinking them, it's like, what are you doing? You're missing out on some of the best bourbon that's out there that is readily available. And even if you go down a step lower, where it's the Old Forester 100 proof, that is really good. Brown-Forman really, I feel like, has stepped up their game, and a lot of their portfolio, if it comes to Jack Daniels or Old Forester. Woodford, as we were talking about, I mean, it is what it is to a certain extent. I mean, it comes to find out almost like a Buffalo Trace guy or whatever. I mean, people that are Woodford fans, they are Woodford fans. I mean, they are just all about it, right? So, but Brown-Forman, their portfolio, I would almost say is, I mean, it's probably bigger than Wild Turkey's, but I would say the same thing. Most of their stuff is very, very good. Some of it might be a little bit more pricey than others, but I mean, they're doing a lot of great things over there.
Yeah, so I know you had this one. I got a couple bottles of it, so I'm on a new one from this pick. But I'm curious, what is on your single barrel here? What is your warehouse floor and proof?
So this is K floor 3, and it's 128.3.
So I am H4 125.
Yeah, that one was delicious. This one is delicious, and it's amazing because you want to talk about consistency. I don't think that I've ever had a bottle of Old Forester that did not hit the notes that I am very accustomed to with Old Forester. I mean, to me, it's a little bit sweeter than some of the other bourbons. I would almost say that it's almost like a Knob Creek to a certain extent. Knob Creek's very sweet, but this goes into like a different area. It's not, the nuttiness of a Knob Creek, but I'm just saying as far as a sweet forward, but it's not overly sweet, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, it doesn't have the funkiness like a Wild Turkey does if you're not into that. So, I mean, it's just one of those ones, man. It's just, like you said, it's daggone good. I mean, you could drink nothing but 1920 and you'd be completely happy, or 1897, you'd be completely happy.
And I mean, the only one that we haven't really talked about too in the line, and it's just it sits on, it sits on the shelf, but not in a bad way that people don't like it. It's a readily available option. Is the Statesman too. So sometimes if you need I believe that one's 90, or is it 100? That's a lighter option in their line too. So sometimes if you need to proof your night down, that's a good one. I got a buddy that whenever he has heartburn and he wants to drink bourbon, that's the one that he goes to because it's easier to drink. But they really are very versatile. I'd be curious to know though, we talked about it, but then we didn't really circle on it. The Old Forester 1924, that got a lot of love. It got a lot of mixed reviews. It got a lot of in-betweens. Not really a lot of hate, but it was a big thing that came out basically 2 Januaries ago. Not January of 2025, January of 2024. It was a new thing in Old Forester. They hadn't really put out anything new in a while. They're on their second or third run of it now. Curious to know what your take in if you tried the 1924 was.
So, and I'm probably gonna be blaspheming myself here, but I mean, just like what we were just talking about before we got on camera with the Woodford batch proofs, I really like those. I think that they're worth the money with the price point. I dig them. Out of all the Woodfords, that's the only one that I drink. The Old Forester 1924, for whatever reason, I have an issue with spending that much money on something that is not like a barrel proof. If the 1924 had a little bit more proof to it, and if it was ranging up in the 125s and all of that, it gets really hard. And again, I guess this is kind of a contradictory thing, but for me and my palate, it's hard for me to pay that much money for a 10-year, because that's almost like in a Michter's 10 kind of arena where it's like what? It's like 150, right? Is it 124?
Oh no. The 1924 should be around 125, a little bit lower.
Okay,
Somewhere in
125.
the 115. I think the MSRP is 115 to 125 ish in that range.
For whatever reason, the ones that I sampled, I'm not saying that it's bad. It's good. It's good, but for whatever reason, I left it on the shelf. I had the opportunity to get it, but it did not resonate with me enough to go and buy it.
Yeah, I likewise. I actually we're gonna match twice in one video. That almost never happens, let alone once, but never twice.
From the sky.
Yeah, I passed on buying a bottle as well. I thought it was a little bit too medicinal cherry for me. It wasn't my favorite thing that I've ever had from Old Forester. I will say, though, I was lucky enough last year to be down in Florida meeting up with some of our fellow thieves, JP, Mike, Tommy, Sean. So I was in trouble.
Oh yeah.
And we had a good time. But it was funny because we tried the 1924 at the Roasted Spirit down there in Florida. We had a good meetup, fun time there. It was good. It wasn't, the hype for it was more hype than taste to me. But then the very next day we met up again at a cigar lounge, and Alex, Whiskey Tooth, came and met us at the cigar lounge too. And I tried it again with a cigar. And I thought it was significantly better with the cigar. I think maybe some of the tobacco notes with that cherry I was getting really made it a much better pour. And I said, this is a great with cigar pour, just neat. I'm not sure I love it as much. And I said, I don't want to always have to smoke a cigar to pour that bottle. So likewise, I passed on it. But I will say the cigar made a significant difference to me on that one. So
I guess I need to start smoking cigars, son.
Hey, maybe. Look at what happened to Sean. He said he was never going to get into cigars, and now I think he's doing a cigar a day. So
I look at it. I'm already fat, and I'm drinking bourbon. I mean, that's just one more thing to etch on the bad list and money spending. I'm like, man,
but,
I don't know.
I mean, in all honesty, a cigar hobby really doesn't need to be expensive. Some of my favorite cigars are only $7 or $8 to $12 now. Some prices have gone up, but a really good cigar doesn't need to be that expensive.
You got to get one of those little box things. What are they called?
Humidors.
Yeah, humidors. You got to get a humidor and all of that.
I'll tell you this. I have a really good electronic humidor that my friends at King Cheese sent me. Shameless plug, I know, but wasn't planning to go there, but I'll throw it in. It's a great electronic humidor. It's perfect. I was using a table humidor. If you end up coming down to visit me in April and you decide you want to get into cigars, I have a box humidor from some of my favorite cigar makers with Drew Estates that I can gift you, and then you have a box humidor and you're good to roll there. So,
good Lord. You remember Miranda's probably coming with me, so
yeah,
better be ready to get punched in the face, which you start talking like that, she'll be like, what?
My girlfriend doesn't smoke either, so Miranda and her can hang out and do whatever, and we'll run away and we'll smoke a cigar real quick. They'll never notice that we're missing.
They'll never know. They'll never know. For some reason, I think she'll absolutely know. Yeah. We'll have to bring an extra toothbrush and some minty toothpaste.
Yeah. Hey, don't knock the toothpaste. It comes in handy.
It comes in handy. Yeah, no, I mean, so to wrap it up though, man, I mean, like I said, I think 1897, 1920, these barrel proofs, the single barrels, that the black label that you had, absolutely killer, man. Do it all day long. The Rise, I like the Rise too, but again, in my area, they just, they're hard to come by, man. But usually Old Forester, like I said, I mean, all of their stuff is just great. I mean, and I love the story on the on the, doing the raffle and stuff. What liquor store was that again? So if people in the New England area, they can go and absolutely patron that area, that store.
It's Yankee Spirits. They have a couple of locations. They're really kind of centrally located. So pretty much wherever you are, you're gonna have one. You got one out in Sturbridge, one in Norwood, one in Fall River, one in North Attleboro. So even if you're in Rhode Island, the North Attleboro runs right over your border. Fall River's not too far. There's probably one
Apparently
that I'm forgetting about.
Ada likes the Yankee Spirits too.
Yeah.
My little rat. I'm this big old guy, and I got these little butt dogs. It's funny.
Those dogs have a big bark.
They do. They're very vicious.
Yeah. Hey, I thought they were going to be bigger, just like Austin thought I was going to be taller.
That's very true. I was like, where's Keith at?
I was sitting out there. I was getting cold. It was cold out there in Virginia. I didn't pack accordingly.
You know what's bad? I'm gonna put her down. What's bad is that Miranda and I were talking about that, and she looked in the camera. She goes, "Where is he at?" I said, "He's right there. There he is." It was funny.
I showed up. You guys thought I was like an Oompa Loompa. Oompa Loompa. Where is Keith?
No, we gotta wear your platform shoes, man.
Next time.
Well, cool, my friend. Love talking about Old Forester. This is delicious. Cherry, bomb, all of them, man. I mean, it is so daggone good. If you hadn't had Old Forester, you need to go try it. Go check out Yankee Spirits down by Keith's Way. Tell them that Keith sent you. And such good causes.
Yeah.
That's amazing that they do that. When I come up, I definitely want to go to that store, shake that dude's hand, and buy some bottles from him just to show appreciation. So many people are affected by cancer, man. It's amazing that he would even do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. They've done things like that before too. They generally, most of the raffles, they don't make any money on it. Bottles are at MSRP, and all the raffle tickets go to a good cause like that. So, and they had a tasting too. So great time all around. Great people doing great things and celebrating. So.
Heck yeah, I can't wait to come up there and celebrate it as well with them and meet the staff and all that kind of good stuff. It'll be great.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, cool, man. Well, I guess till next time.
Well, I'm gonna finish with another Forrest Gump pun. If we're gonna drink great whiskey, pour, Austin, pour.
Well, cool, man. Till next time, brother.
Cheers.
You and your quotes.
Hey. I thought the Forrest Gump was a good one.